Welcome to Express Tribune's 2 p.m. bulletin. Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi has died in a helicopter crash that took place in the country's mountainous terrain and icy weather. Search teams that included drones from Turkey located the wreckage in Iran's East Azerbaijan province. The crash took place when President Raisi was on his way back after a visit to the border region amid bad weather. Iran's Mehr news agency initially confirmed the deaths, reporting that all passengers of the helicopter carrying the Iranian president and foreign minister were martyred. Iran's Vice President Mohsen Mansouri also confirmed the death in a post shared on social media platform X. Condolence messages from world leaders began to pour in after the death was confirmed. Following the helicopter crash involving Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi, global leaders have expressed their concern and offered support. Pakistan's President Asif Ali Zardari shared prayers on social media platform X, while Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif declared a day of mourning in the country. Turkish President Erdogan also expressed deep sadness over the accident, saying Turkey is ready to provide all necessary support. The European Commission activated its satellite mapping service to aid search efforts, following a request for assistance from Iran. Saudi Arabia has expressed its support for Iran, saying it is ready to provide any assistance required. Azerbaijan also offered to provide all kinds of support. The US State Department has announced it is closely monitoring developments. Iraq has instructed its Interior Ministry and other relevant bodies to offer help to Iran. Hamas has also expressed sympathy with Iran, saying its hearts are with the brotherly Iranian people. After mobs attacked foreign students in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, the Pakistani government facilitated the repatriation of 140 students to Lahore via a special flight with plans for more evacuations. The violence was triggered by a viral video of a brawl between Kyrgyz and Egyptian students, sparking anti-foreigner sentiments. In response to the crisis, Pakistani Interior Minister Mohsen Naqvi emphasized the priority of safely returning Pakistani students, while Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif committed to covering the costs of repatriation. Amidst escalating tensions, students were advised to remain indoors and were evacuated when essentials ran low. Pakistan's Minister of Power Awais Laghari has rejected reports of a likely change in the net metering policy as a pack of lies. He categorically said there is no plan to scrap net metering, as the PMLN government, which had introduced the policy back in 2017, is fully committed to continuing it. He said if there is any need to revise this policy, all stakeholders will be taken on board and the government's approval would be sought. He assured that the contracts signed with the companies would be fully honored. Laghari said there was a 100% increase in net metering last year, adding out of 4 million connections, 113,000 connections are based on the net metering. Vote counting is in process for the Multan NA-148 by-election previously held by PPP's Yusuf Raza Gilani, who resigned after becoming Senate chairman. The key contenders are his son, Ali Qasim Gilani, and PTI-supported barrister Taimur Malik. Polling, which began at 8 a.m. under stringent security, concluded at 5 p.m. across 275 stations. The election, featuring 8 candidates, saw heavy security measures, including additional police and surveillance cameras at sensitive spots. The Election Commission of Pakistan has emphasized transparency and will allow media to report unofficial results an hour post-polling. Antimicrobial resistance has emerged as the third leading cause of death in Pakistan, according to health officials and experts. It claims around 300,000 lives annually in the country. Pakistan ranks as the third largest consumer of antibiotics globally, with antibiotics worth 126 billion rupees consumed in 2023 alone. Health authorities, including Professor Shehzad Ali Khan, Vice Chancellor of Health Services Academy in Islamabad, highlighted the widespread misuse of antibiotics as a significant factor contributing to AMR. They emphasized the critical need for the public to use antibiotics only under professional medical guidance to combat this growing public health crisis. India has begun voting in the 5th phase of its mammoth general elections on Monday, May 20th. Seats in the country's financial capital, Mumbai, and the opposition Congress Party's bastions are set to be sealed in the last few legs of the 7-phase vote. The world's largest election began on April 19th and will conclude on June 1st, with votes set to be counted on June 4th. Voters queued outside polling stations included industrialist Anil Ambani and actor Akshay Kumar, who came early morning to cast their ballots. Monday's phase has the least number of seats being contested, with 89.5 million voters set to choose representatives for 49 seats. Voters have cited development and unemployment as major issues for the country. After an initial poor performance, more people started casting their vote, with an average turnout of 66.95% in 4 phases and 69% in the 4th one on May 13th. Dominican Republic President Luis Abinader celebrated a likely re-election victory after early results indicated a commanding lead, securing 59.09% of the vote, with 44% counted. His main opponent, Leonel Fernandez, acknowledged Abinader's win. Abiy Nader, leader of the Modern Revolutionary Party and former businessman, credited his COVID-19 management, tough policies on Haiti, and anti-corruption efforts for bolstering his support beyond that of his main rivals. Hundreds of demonstrators marched through downtown Austin to protest the war in Gaza and mark the 76th anniversary of the Nakba. Participants waved Palestinian flags and rallied outside the Texas state capitol, calling for an end to U.S. funding for the conflict. The Nakba, commemorated annually, reflects on the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in 1948, an event central to Palestinian identity. This year's events are underscored by the recent Israeli campaign in Gaza launched following a Hamas-led attack which has devastated the region, resulting in significant casualties and displacement. Saudi Arabia's King Salman is undergoing treatment for a lung inflammation as announced by state media. This marks his second set of health assessments within a month to be conducted at the Al Salam Palace Clinic in Jeddah. The 88-year-old king, who has been on the throne since 2015, has faced several health issues previously, including a gallbladder surgery in 2020 and a colonoscopy in 2022. His son, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, manages day-to-day affairs of the kingdom. The de facto Saudi leader has postponed a scheduled meeting with Japanese Emperor Naruhito and Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, citing his father's health. The United Nations has sounded alarm over a surge in violence in Myanmar's Rakhine state. Clashes between the military and the Arakan army have displaced tens of thousands of civilians, mainly Rohingya. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, has urged both sides to stop fighting and protect civilians. I am deeply alarmed by reports of renewed violence and property destruction in Butidong township in Myanmar's North Rakhine state, resulting in the displacement of potentially tens of thousands of civilians, mainly Rohingya, Turk said in a statement on Sunday. The Arakan army is fighting for more autonomy for the state's ethnic Rakhine population. The militia has been accused of human rights abuses against the Rohingya minority. The UN is seeking to verify reports of serious violations and is appealing to neighboring Bangladesh to provide protection to those seeking safety. Taiwan's new president, Lai Ching-te, has taken office, inheriting the challenges associated with the territory's history with China. Lai, who served as a vice president for the past 4 years, was sworn in on Monday, taking over from Tsai Ing-wen. He will express goodwill towards China in his inauguration speech, calling for both sides to pursue peace. However, Beijing has been critical of Lai, labeling him a separatist and rejecting his offer of talks. As president, Lai will need to navigate these tensions and find a way to improve relations with China. China has launched a Long March 2D carrier rocket, sending 4 satellites into preset orbit. The rocket lifted off at 11:06 a.m. Beijing time on Monday from the Taiyuan Satellite Launch Center in the northern province of Shanxi. The satellite constellation is coded Beijing 3C. This was the 523rd flight mission of the Long March rocket series. Manchester City clinched their 4th consecutive English top flight title with a 3-1 victory over West Ham United, edging out Arsenal in a climactic end to the Premier League season. Amid celebrations, Pep Guardiola hinted at potentially leaving City, stating he was closer to leaving than staying, although he confirmed no immediate plans to depart. Guardiola, who has led City to 6 titles in 7 years, expressed his exhaustion but remained committed to the upcoming FA Cup final against Manchester United. He praised his rivals, particularly Arsenal's Mikel Arteta and Liverpool's Jurgen Klopp, acknowledging Klopp's influence on his career as Klopp managed Liverpool for the last time. Abby Carter from Indio, California won the title of American Idol in the show's 3-hour season 22 finale, impressing with her original song This Isn't Over and a cover of Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For. Her journey began with an audition featuring the same Eilish song, captivating the judges and audience throughout the season with her emotional and powerful performances. In the finale, Carter outshone her competitors Will Mosley and Jack Blocker, with Lionel Richie praising her final rendition of Adele's Hello as her best yet. Judges, including Katy Perry and Luke Bryan, recognized her exceptional talent, predicting a promising music career ahead.